I've been waiting for my heart. Hold on, can you feel it coming in the air? That you hold me out. I'll speak in your face for my friend, but I don't know it. So much to do, so I don't know twice. See, you could wipe out that game, another way of it. It's all in that nice. I can feel it coming in the air. Oh, but I'm waiting for the summer of my life. I can feel it coming. Strangers, nothing can make me feel. a sexy shoot on cheeks. It's damn right.
Welcome. Welcome to live Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Radical Republicans live show with your host, the J Black Mamba. Jerome Bell, thank y'all for tuning in. And we're going to pop over. I tell you what we're going to do first. Because I'm pretty sure that's where most people are at right now, checking out the Getter chat. Checking out Getter over there. I know I asked everybody to come over on Rumble, and I appreciate you. Thanks for coming over on the Rumble channel. But what we're going to do probably what most people are doing just for a minute. We're going to go and we're going to look at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, the vigil that's going on over on YouTube right now. So we're going to check that out for a minute.
We do that by taking the best virtues and character traits of the person that we lost and using discipline and restraint and practice, integrating those character traits into our own character. And in doing that, we make ourselves larger and the whole gets proportionally smaller. And we also give that person a kind of immortality because they are now living on, the best parts of them are now living on in us. In one of my conversations, and Charlie was a target-rich environment for virtues. We can all think of something extraordinary he did: his love of family, his love of God, his love of freedom of speech, his reverence for this country, his belief that we are an exemplary nation. We are unique in history. We're the only nation with this kind of constitution. In Europe, they don't have free speech anymore. We have it here, and we are the beacon for humanity for the rest of the world. And all of those... all of those visions, his vision, his mission to preserve those things, his kindness in talking to people with whom he disagreed, are all things that we need to learn and we need to integrate into our own lives. As Tulsi said, we need to reach out with love to the people on the other side who are asleep and who are too frightened and too panicked and too controlled to understand what they are losing. And we need to protect those things until they wake up. And I had a conversation once with Charlie where we were talking about the danger that we both faced from challenging entrenched interests. And he asked me if I was scared to die. And I said to him, there's a lot worse things than dying. And one of those...
Sounds like we're having some technical issues from there, not here.
Is losing our constitutional rights and having our children raised in slavery. And I said to him at that time, I said, sometimes our only consolation is that we can die with our boots on. We can die fighting for these things.
We watch the live coverage of the Charlie Kirk Memorial Community Center from RSBN. We'll piggyback on that for a minute.
So that the rest of us would not have to suffer those fates worse than death. Now it's our job. He's no longer there to lead us, to rush in and fill the breach and win this battle for our country, for God, and for our families. Thank you all for that.
Yeah, so that was RFK Jr. We're gonna cut this feed. We'll come back to it later. Maybe I'll be watching it from the side. But I don't want to watch Carrie Lake right now. Yeah, it's on YouTube. Hey, well, welcome. So what we have going on right now? I maybe lagging. I don't know, but I know the music wasn't so cool or something like that. I'm not sure. And there's a bunch of stuff going on with the Rumble Studio. But let me get to the sponsor real quick. Sponsor of the show is Supermassive Black Coffee. Are you tired of the same old corporate coffee, diluted and devoid of character? It's time to break free from the chains of mediocrity with Supermassive Black Coffee. Certified from 100% organic beans, this coffee is fire roasted in a Victorian era roaster, a relic from an age when true craftsmanship thrived. This unique process allows the flames to caress each bean, unlocking bold, rich flavors with dark chocolate undertones and a smooth, smoky finish. In a time of soaring coffee prices and supply chain disruptions, Supermassive Black Coffee stands as a beacon of quality and resilience. While others compromise, this brand remains steadfast, delivering a brew that defies convention and invites coffee lovers to explore the depths of flavor and mystique. Join the rebellion against the mundane. Visit supermassiveblackcoffee.com and use code MAMBA, MAMBA, for 20% off your order. Embrace the conspiracy, sip the mystery. It's been a tough week for most of us. Jamie Cologne, I see you. What's up, buddy? And we all know what's happened. What I'm going to do tonight, we'll talk about, the Charlie Kirk assassination, because it's definitely what it was. And for some of us, we know why. I'm gonna play some different clips, and we'll talk about those clips as I play them. Hopefully, I'll get to all of them. If not, then we just won't. We just won't. But once again, thank y'all for tuning in. Um, it's been a tough week, Charlie. I knew Charlie. Charlie endorsed my campaign with TP Action when I ran for Congress in 2022. Met him. He's a good dude. He was a young man. When I think about what happened to Charlie, yeah, he's the same age as my son. Okay, he's the same age as my oldest son, and to see him cut down just because people say because he didn't agree, right? People say, oh, he was cut down by the guy, which I don't believe is the guy that's in custody. Let's just be honest. I don't think that's the guy. That may be the fall guy, but I don't think that's the guy. And I know, like I said, the show's competing with the Charlie Kirk Memorial Vigil tonight, but hey, it is what it is. The show must go on, but he was the age of my son. And I'm going to play some clips. It's going to shed some light on a few things. I came out very, very early, one of the first, I think. Carolyn, I know Carolyn follows me on Facebook, and I do most of. Carolyn, I love you, Carolyn. I had to go get some blackberry brandy so I can understand him. Talk about JFK, RFK. But I believe that it was an assassination from the very beginning. It was not a leftist. It was not a trans guy. Even though they're trying to feed you that right now, um, with the weapon that they showed that they recovered, and the guy on the roof jumping off the roof with no gun, a black bag. It's just all of these questions, all of this bullshit that they're trying to feed you to protect Israel. I'm gonna just flat out say it. I'm gonna just flat out say it. And one of the things, and one of the clips that I'm gonna play, even though I had no doubt more people are coming, I guess, to this realization that it could possibly have been a hit by Israel. I mean, and Netanyahu came out right away and was tweeting about it. When it, Charlie Kirk was not a world leader per se, right? He was not in the administration. He was an activist. Okay, he was an activist. When Have you ever seen a prime minister or a leader of a country come out and tweet about an activist getting murdered or shot or assassinated? And Netanyahu was out in front in Israel. He stopped his war with Gaza and with Hamas to tweet about Charlie. And then he went on Newsmax to try to blame Muslims. At that point, and then the next day, and I'll tell you about the next day, but at that point, it became very, very clear to me who was behind this. Very, very clearly who was behind this. And from what I understand, and I'll play a clip as well from Max Blumenthal, from what I understand is that Charlie got a call from Netanyahu a couple of weeks prior to this assassination. But the clip I'm going to play it may shock some of you, it may not. It may confirm what we're saying. I'm going to play that one first, and then I'm going to play a clip from Ben Shapiro. I'm going to play a clip from Ben Shapiro. And you have to understand, Charlie was a big supporter of Israel. Huge, huge supporter of Israel until like a month or two ago, right? And I'm going to play part of that. Okay. So yeah, that would be in the clip too. About the group called the Groypers, right? They was having this war with Charlie Kirk because they were supposed to be America First. The Nick Fuentes group, and now they're trying to pin all of this on Nick Fuentes and the Groypers, which I think is preposterous because they weren't there. And they're trying to make you believe that this dude that they have in custody right now went on a roof with a gun that they say was broken down. And the gun that he had, the rifle that he had cannot even be broken down. If it did, it took some time, not a minute or two. That this kid took this shot from 200 yards away with a scope that was not even mounted right on this weapon. He went up there you know, and people were saying, oh, anybody can make that shot. It's only 200 yards and any hunter can make that shot. Okay, so any hunter that is going to kill somebody for the first time may shoot somebody else. Nervous. I'm sure this person, supposedly this guy was nervous. His hands were probably sweaty. He was probably trembling a little bit because he had to take this shot. Probably only had one shot to do it in. Then break down the gun, put it in a bag, jump off the roof, run to the woods, reassemble the gun, put it in a case, put a towel around it, and leave it there so it can be found with a spent chamber in the round and 3 other bullets, I guess, still loaded. And we have these people, anybody can make that shot. Anybody can make that shot under those circumstances. Oh, he wasn't aiming for the throat. It ricocheted off of the vest. If Charlie had a vest on, I was told, I heard that Charlie didn't wear a vest. But if he did have a vest on, a 30-06 round probably would have penetrated that vest, not bounce off. The only way, and even if he had on level 4 armor, it may not have bounced off, but they said ricocheted and went into his throat. Okay, cool. So supposedly they got the guy, right? So the guy did all of that and then got away. They say he put the barrel of the gun down his leg. Did you see the way he jumped off the roof? He didn't have a gun. He may have had a bag, right? But I don't think he broke down the gun and put it in the bag and then he ran off. I mean, it is so preposterous. They actually believe that we are idiots. Actually believe that we are idiots. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to try this here, right? All right, so what I'm going to do is if you haven't already, make sure you download the Rumble app. It's free, simple to use, and the best way to stay connected to the internet you want. Once you've got it, search for my channel, hit the follow button. That way you'll get a notification every time we go live. If you haven't done it already, no missed shows, no extra steps. And you can grab it right now using the link in the description or the pinned live chat. Download it to your phone and you're ready to go. And if you prefer watching on the big screen, Rumble is available on all major streaming devices and smart TVs. Just search for Rumble, follow this channel, be a part of the election. Let me see this. Boom. We'll put that up. There you go. So you can go to rumble.com app, download to your mobile device, or you can go ahead and tap that URL or that QR code with your phone. Then that way you can make it happen. Okay? All right, so go check that out. So we got some ads I can read up here on it's pretty neat, right? Pretty cool stuff. Okay, so what are we gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and play some clips, and then we'll talk about some clips. Whole Rush funeral mirroring JFK. Yeah, all of it, Jack, is just kind of crazy. So let me play some clips. I'm gonna play this Blumenthal clip first. It's about 6 minutes long. Okay, we're gonna play this because I think it's very, very interesting what he has to say. And Max Blumenthal is on X, and he's a investigative reporter. So let's listen to what he has to say, and it's very, very interesting. So let's get it.
From his own base, documentary or a book, Charlie Kirk began coming under pressure from his own base. I would say, I actually forgot which year it was, but it was like 3 or 4 years ago. And it was called the Groyper Wars. And Charlie Kirk would do these TPUSA tours around the country, and young men would file in, and they would, you get to question Charlie Kirk and debate him. And they hit him from an angle he never expected. They were from this organization called the Groypers, which sort of follows Nick Fuentes. They're anti-Israel. They're kind of anti-Jewish. Some people call them white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. They're very anti-Israel, and they believe they're the true voice of America first because the U.S. government has fallen under the control of this malign foreign power in Israel. And so they would confront Charlie Kirk with the history of, for example, the USS Liberty, the U.S. naval ship that was deliberately struck by the Israeli military in the 1967 war in order to cripple that boat because it was a surveillance boat. It was listening to Israeli communications. And they killed scores of sailors, and they would confront Charlie Kirk with the difference between Israeli interests and American interests while holding up a cross. And Charlie Kirk would just shut down the conversation because he knew that if he would give an inch to them, it would threaten the relationship with his donors and TPUSA would collapse. Now, after October 7th, the pressure was just too extreme. The whole grassroots of the conservative movement, everyone under 35, started to question the U.S.-Israel relationship because they wanted to be America first. And they saw Netanyahu just leading Trump around by the balls. They saw Miriam Adelson, this Israeli intelligence asset billionaire, just calling shots inside the White House. And a lot of them are pro-life and were horrified by the slaughter of babies that they saw in Gaza. So the bottom dropped out of right-wing youth support for Israel to the point where now only about 25% of Republicans under 35 support Israel over Palestine. So Charlie Kirk has to answer to his own grassroots base, and you can hear he's starting to make some noises. He's talking about October 7th possibly being an inside job. Israel let it happen in order to carry out long-term political goals. He starts to question whether Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli Mossad agent at a time when the Epstein files were becoming an uncomfortable issue for Trump. And it all blew out into the open at TPUSA's July Youth Summit in, I believe it was Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
Might have been Tallahassee.
Yeah, Tucker gave the speech.
Right.
Right.
So Tucker gave a speech. I mean, that was the seminal moment, but it wasn't just Tucker. Megyn Kelly had started questioning Israel, and she's on stage calling Jeffrey Epstein a Mossad agent with Charlie. Comic Dave Smith, who, like myself, is a Jewish anti-Zionist, but he more comes from kind of the libertarian world. So he was welcomed on stage to debate a Zionist propagandist who works for Newsweek, Joshua Hammer. Debate, no, that's not something you want, especially at this point, if you are like a pro-Israel enforcer. And Dave Smith was openly talking about the slaughter of children in Gaza, and the crowd was cheering in this cathartic way. Then Tucker comes out, says, you should have your citizenship yanked if you fight for a foreign army. All right. Hundreds and hundreds, thousands of American Jewish youth go to Israel and fight for their army instead of our own. So that's a direct blow to not just the Israel lobby, but like the whole concept of Jewish communal life as it's understood by its leadership. Then Tucker calls out Bill Ackman, who's one of the biggest Netanyahu money men inside the US, who's pulling strings at Harvard, getting their funding pulled unless they crack down on Palestine activism. And he questions Bill Ackman. He calls him a scam artist and said, how did he make $9 billion? Like, where did it come from? I mean, and Bill Ackman, the next day, he couldn't really answer the question. He published like a 5,000 word meltdown Twitter post trying to defend his financial investments. It was just bonkers. I'd never seen anything like it. And it was all Charlie Kirk's fault for giving basically the people what they wanted. And after that, he started getting publicly attacked. Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, the two biggest Zionist enforcers in the media, who are very close to Netanyahu, biggest forces lobbying Trump to wage war on Iran, went off on TPUSA, said we can't be having a Big Ten if it includes kooks. Laura Loomer, we all know who she is. She publicly attacked Charlie Kirk and said he basically had to step down. He was getting attacked in pro-Israel media. What we didn't know, which I learned, is in private, the pressure was even more intense. He was being bombarded with text messages. And at some point, Netanyahu personally called him and offered to basically fund his organization to new levels that he never even imagined, which meant, Zionist Israeli takeover, complete like recapture of TPUSA, an organization they basically helped create. And Charlie Kirk turned him down. Now, after Charlie Kirk was killed, we know that Netanyahu wouldn't stop posting about him. Like minutes after he was killed, when his body was still warm, Netanyahu was posting about him, interrupting his seven-front war in the Middle East and his global assassination spree, where he's trying to kill people even inside a U.S. ally in Qatar.
Can you remember any time that in the history of a political assassination that the leader of a foreign government has come out to deny that they were behind it? I mean,
I've never seen anything like that.
Right. I mean,
it was, so Netanyahu has to ultimately deny that Israel was involved in an interview on Newsmax with Greta Van Susteren. Newsmax is another, like, from his
that was
own
from the
base
Tom Dillon show
documentary. Or
that clip was from the Tom Dillon show. So how many of you get a call from the prime minister of another country? Charlie Kirk was funded by the Jews, by the Jewish lobby. That's why he was very, very pro-Israel. I don't know if you all knew that, okay? But he was funded well. I mean, prime minister of a country calls you and say, hey, I'll fund your show, but you need to do what I tell you to do. And Charlie turned him down. Charlie turned him down. And I'm going to play some other clips. I think I may have played some last week. I don't remember, but I'm going to play some other clips. Charlie was worried. Charlie was scared. Charlie was on Megyn Kelly, and him and Megyn Kelly were They're talking about receiving all these texts. So Charlie said it himself. So this isn't just Max just talking or speaking. Charlie said it himself on with Megyn Kelly. I'm hoping I have that clip. I don't know if I do or not. Or I couldn't download the clip. Some of these clips I couldn't download because it was just wouldn't let me. Go figure that, right? But what Max Blumenthal said was right. I may pull it up on YouTube and share the screen later. But he had a lot of pressure going on. And then you had the Mark Levins, right? Everybody know who Mark Levin is, I would hope. He's like one of the biggest warmongers, war hawks, man. He wanted to go with Iran. And Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is one of the racist cucks that I know that has a show. So I'm going to play a clip. I think I have the clip from Ben Shapiro. Matter of fact, I'm going to have to go to YouTube to play because I was one that could not be downloaded. And I'm going to let you. Shoot. Okay, yes. No. So I do have. So I'm going to play this clip from Ben Shapiro, going off of what Max just said, right? Because if you know Ben Shapiro, he's one of the biggest Zionist pushers, right? Candace Owens used to be part of the show. Candace Owens quit, and now they turned on Candace. And Candace is, she woke up and saw the light, and she started talking about it. So she got fired from the Daily Wire. So this is Daily Wire. So this is Ben Shapiro the day after. And this is when I said, yeah. Another time I said, yeah, I know for a fact that this was a hit by Israel.
Is not silent. We're going to pick up that bloodstained microphone where Charlie left it. And to those who would intimidate, who would seek to stop us, who would seek to end free discussion, who believe that they have ownership over public spaces and can violently threaten and kill people who speak freely, we are not going to stop. And I have two words: fuck you. We will not stop telling the truth. We will never stop telling the truth. We will never stop debating and discussing. We will never stop standing up for what America is and for what she should be. And we will never let Charlie Kirk's voice die. Goodbye to my friend, Charlie Kirk. May your memory be a blessing for your family and for your country and for all of us.
So the day after Charlie got murdered, Ben Shapiro takes over TPUSA. This Zionist who doesn't even believe in Jesus. I'm going to play a clip. How can you take over for a man that did everything that he did was for the love of Jesus Christ? This is why he turned down Benjamin Netanyahu. But Benjamin Malachowski is his real name. But Charlie Kirk lived his life for Christ. Everything he did, he was out front with that. It was for Christ. It was for Jesus. So we got this Zionist cuck, Ben Shapiro, that's coming out the day after Charlie Kirk was murdered by, and I keep saying Mossad, keep saying it was a state-sponsored terrorism hit. To put it out in the open, you guys have to understand too, state-sponsored, and let's go back to real quick why they did it. Because Charlie was powerful with his age dynamic. He was pulling a lot of people, a lot of kids, a lot of young adults over to Christ. They started questioning the loyalty for Israel. You guys have to understand what Max Blumenthal said. They started questioning, and the kids started realizing that, yeah, we're America first. We're not Israel first. And so how can you replace a man like Charlie Kirk, who lived for Christ, who believed in Jesus Christ with all of his heart and soul, with a guy who doesn't even believe in Jesus? who don't even believe that Jesus was the Messiah, that Jesus was the Son of God. In his own words, he was just some dude. Jesus was just some dude. I'm going to play Ben Shapiro. So when you see Ben Shapiro, you come out here, and he's a self-proclaimed Zionist. So this Zionists who don't even believe what we believe in say he's going to take the mantle for Charlie Kirk. And someone said, oh, well, Ben Shapiro was out there before Charlie Kirk. Yeah, Ben Shapiro was out there and lost. He lost following because he was such a pusher of Israel and a pusher of Zionism. People didn't want to hear that shit. Because if he was so valiant and so good, Charlie Kirk probably wouldn't have rose the way he did. But Charlie was backed by Israel. He was backed by big Jewish donors. And he got summoned by the prime minister. I believe Charlie Kirk went to Jerusalem or went to Israel a couple weeks before he was assassinated as well. And he got a call. Say, hey, man, I give you anything you want, all the money I put, from the prime minister. Who then went on Newsweek, because Newsweek is a Jewish-run operation too, went on Newsweek and tried to blame the Muslims. This is what he does. And in that same week, right, a couple of days prior to that, what did they do? They attacked Qatar in the name of, well, we're hunting for Hamas. And I'm going to play a clip. It's a pretty long clip. It's about 30 minutes, but I think it's very, very important because the Middle East is about to change. We are no longer trusted to handle negotiations for peace. And this is going to be from the Qatari prime minister. I'm going to play this clip from Ben Shapiro first. How can a guy like this replace Charlie Kirk?
Jewish point of view, or we don't believe in the divinity of Christ. I
Right.
think that there you can make an argument that the Gospels, which were written.
Carl Jung, the great psychoanalyst, he said modern people don't see God because they don't
Of
look
course,
low
you got to
enough.
play. Of course, you got to.
That's where
clip,
think
right?
He was just a
Significant-
prophet.
Hold on, I'm gonna play
Jewish
back.
point of view, or we don't believe in the divinity of Christ. I
Right.
think that there you can make an argument.
Jewish point of view, we don't believe in Christ, right? In the divinity of Christ. That's not Charlie Kirk like. Charlie Kirk believed in the divinity of Christ. He believed that Christ was king. So we got this Zionist cuck. He didn't even believe in the divinity of Christ. So how can he replace Charlie Kirk? How can he go on college campuses? What is he going? He's going to go and push Zionism on college campuses. He's going to go, and he's not even going to talk about Christ. Charlie Kirk, that was his focus. He talked about Christ, right?
That the Gospels, which were written,
He was just a prophet. And right?
Significant. No. We don't even believe he was a prophet.
What do you think he was? What do you guys think?
I mean, what do I think he was historically? I think he was a Jew who tried to lead a revolt against the Romans and got killed for his trouble, just like a lot of other Jews at that time who were crucified for trying to lead revolts against the Roman and got killed for their trouble.
A Jew who tried to lead a revolt against the Romans and got killed for his troubles. This is the guy. This is the guy that's supposed to replace Charlie Kirk, y'all. This dude right here, right? Because he's backed by Israel. He's backed by Benjamin Netanyahu. He's backed by Mossad. He's backed by big money donors that just swooped in the day after they murdered Charlie Kirk to take over TPUSA. We are occupied in this country. We're occupied in this country. And it's by the people we're not supposed to be able to talk about. I'm sure YouTube may censor this. That's why I ask everyone to come over to Rumble, because Rumble, I know, won't censor. I don't think Getter censored me yet. Let's finish this.
So he became legend in story, and it became a bigger and bigger deal as time went on.
Yeah, he had a group of followers, and then that gradually grew, and then
Do you think
there
he was
was
resurrected?
No, that's not a Jewish belief.
Okay, I just want to check.
Yeah, no, we're not into
You're not
we're not
into
into miracle
zombies?
stories. No, that's
No?
not, no.
You don't have any miracles?
No,
in
not by Jesus. Right?
No?
They're ones
But
in the Old
God
Testament.
ones?
Yeah, you've got Moses splitting the sea and all that.
What do you think happened there?
What do I think happened there?
Yeah.
Well, I'll go with the Maimonidean explanation that there was, it says in the Bible there was a strong east wind. So there was a naturalistic explanation for a physical phenomenon.
This motherfucker. This is the guy. That's the guy. That's the guy that's supposed to take over for Charlie Kirk, who believes in Jesus. I'm playing another Max Blumenthal clip.
That would respond to an incident potentially involving the president. All right, some people watching this might be dismissing me as crazy right now, and I wasn't able to confirm this. I can't just call up the Secret Service and have them tell me that. But in 2019, 3 former high-ranking U.S. officials from the Trump administration told Politico that listening devices were found around the White House and at sensitive locations across Washington targeting President Trump. They wanted to listen to his calls and communications, and they were planted by Israel. You just go look that up while I'm speaking right now. Boris Johnson, the former Israeli prime minister, wrote in his memoirs that Benjamin Netanyahu asked to use his bathroom, his personal toilet, and that British security found a listening device planted in his personal toilet immediately after Netanyahu left. So Netanyahu himself dropped a listening device in the British prime minister's toilet. Like, never let Netanyahu take a dump at your house.
This dude is scandalous. This dude is scandalous. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Really, it's not. A lot of people understand who Israel is. A lot of people understand who Netanyahu is. Netanyahu is a murderess. He's a terrorist. He's a terrorist. And this is why he shits all over President Trump. If you noticed, and I won't play this, like I say, it's about a 30-minute clip. And I want you guys to listen to this, because this is a guy that's not scared of Netanyahu. The Qatari prime minister, he's not scared of Netanyahu. He's not scared to call it what it is. President Trump is scared, y'all. President Trump is scared. I told people, I said, after, and Carolyn can check me on this, she always does, but after the assassination attempt on Trump, he changed. He became very, very weak. Very, very weak with Israel. Very, very weak on Israel. Israel does whatever the fuck they want. With the Qatari attack, right? The Qatari, they didn't even fucking supposedly didn't tell Trump, right? Now, I know that in Qatar, we have air bases, and there's pretty much it, and those are defended by our missiles and defended by us. So let me play this real quick before I continue, just so you understand this attack on Doha.
No jet could cross those skies without U.S. approval. This wasn't Israel acting alone. It was a joint signal of power and betrayal. Every radar around Al Udeid Air Base would have tracked the attack. Washington's complicity is undeniable. By allowing this strike, the U.S. proved that Qatar's so-called ally status collapses the moment Israel demands protection. Qatar is now the 10th country hit by Israel since October 2023. From Gaza to Lebanon, from Syria to Iraq, Iran, Yemen, and Egypt, to international waters near Malta, the flotilla ship in Tunisia, and today, Doha. Netanyahu's doctrine erases all borders, expansion without restraint, violence without accountability. This is the blueprint of Greater Israel. Hamas leaders were in Doha, reviewing Donald Trump's latest ceasefire plan when Israel struck. This is the pattern. Dangle negotiations, keep them busy, then assassinate them mid-talks. Israel does not want peace, only impunity. Reports emerged that the delegation, headed by senior official Khalil al-Hayya, survived the Israeli strike in Doha. Sources told news outlets. But survival doesn't change the outcome. This was a blatant act of war, carried out with American cover. By green-lighting the Doha strike, Washington and Tel Aviv delivered one chilling message. Arab sovereignty exists only at Israel's convenience. No capital is safe, not even under America's shadow. What do you think this means for the region? Share your thoughts in the comments. No jet could cross.
Okay, they missed. And here's what happened with that. If you don't know the story on that, is that basically the same thing that happened with the Iranian negotiators. Trump dangled negotiations in front of them, said where they would meet, gave the information to Israel. Israel found out or whatever, and they bombed where the meeting was supposed to take place. Who's giving Israel this information? This is what I want to know. Who's giving Israel this information? Trump said he didn't know about the attack in Qatar until 10 minutes after. You're going to hear the prime minister say that he didn't know until 10 minutes after the attack, that he was notified by Washington. Trump say he had no knowledge of it, but that's bullshit. Somebody in your administration had knowledge of it, because how did Israel know, one, where they were supposed to be, that building where they were supposed to be? But here's where they got trick fucked. The Hamas delegation and the negotiators, they have, because they know that we can't be trusted. They know that Israel can't be trusted. Now everyone knows that the United States, the Trump administration, cannot be trusted. And that's a sad state of affairs. Everything's about to change in the Middle East. And you're going to hear it in this interview from the Prime Minister of Qatar. Everything's going to change. We can no longer be trusted. But how did they survive? Because they gave out their location where the meeting would take place, made sure everybody knew, and then right before the meeting took place, they changed location. Israel hit the wrong building, killed some people. They killed some staffers. They killed, I think, some Qatari officers. They killed Qatari military that was basically on watch. They were supposed to be the security, right? They're supposed to be the security. So they were there getting ready to do their job to secure the meeting, and Israel bombed the building. How did Israel know where the building? And like the video said, how did they even get through the airspace? Because we allowed it. Trump can't play dumb on this one. He can't play dumb, even though he may not have known, even though they may have told Trump, hey, we're about to drop bomb, and he told him not to, but it was too damn late. So Bibi fucked you again, and you keep on allowing him to. Why? Because you're scared. Everyone in your administration is compromised. I mean, if people don't see this shit, if people don't see it and understand what's going on and how our government is occupied, how our government is compromised by Israel, they're starting to pass bills, and I'm going to put that up too. They're starting to pass bills to restrict U.S. citizens from travel, from getting, government contracts if you talk bad or if you boycott Israel. Why is the United States passing laws? Because we have dual citizens of Israel in our government, which should never take place, should never happen. No person that serves in any government capacity in our country should be a dual citizen of any country, of any country. But this is where we are. So I'm gonna play this video. I'm gonna play this. Let me check the Getter chat over there a little bit. TBB's all alone. Now we got some people over there, man. People are still watching. Let me check the Charlie Kirk thing out. Who's up? Okay, they're playing music. Okay, so we're not going to listen to the music. But I'm going to play this video of the Qatari Prime Minister. Listen closely to what he has to say. Listen very, very closely to what he has to say, because he's going to tell you, and in his own words, and then listen to this lady, right? This lady is a Israeli operative. She's probably works for the Mossad, because listen to her questioning. Listen to her keep asking about, well, where are the Hamas leaders? They escaped. Where are they? Where are they? Right? Do you know where they are? Do you know if they're still alive? Just listen to this witch, right? So I'm going to play this for you all. And it's going to tell a lot of where we are, and really probably where we're going to go from here.
Who's also the foreign minister. So thank you for.
Why are you not investing in tax liens? No, seriously. Why are you not investing into one of the most incredible real estate?
For joining us. This has been a difficult 36 hours for you and for the people of Qatar. So I very much appreciate your time. The Israeli attack on Qatar yesterday, local time, 3:40 in the afternoon, has been roundly condemned, variously described as treacherous, shameful, an action that risks further inflaming this region. You described Israel's action as state terrorism. What do you make of the timing of the attack?
Well, look, first of all, Becky, I think that if we look at the pattern of Netanyahu's action since the war started after October 7th, it's been like in a very systematic way trying to undermine any chance of stability, any chance of peace, and any chance of retrieving his own hostages. And these attempts.
And I want you guys to understand what he just said right there. And I've said this over and over again too. This is not about the hostages. Netanyahu are using those hostages as pawns. He's using them as pawns to keep attacking these countries, saying he's going after Hamas because we want the hostages released, right? So you're going to hear the Qatari guy say, and you know, I'll let him tell you in his own words, but I've said that every time there's a negotiation about releasing the hostages, Netanyahu attacks somebody. He doesn't want the hostages back. That's plain and clear. They had a rally against Netanyahu in Israel the other day about Gaza and taking over Gaza. Netanyahu does not want the hostages back, because if he gets the hostages back, he has no reason to continue to attack. He has no reason to continue to take over Gaza. He has no reason. He has no leverage at that point. He has no leverage at that point. I'll try not to break in, but I'm going to have to in and out just to make some solid points. And he just made one. The hostages. Listen to him.
It's like we witnessed them in many occasions throughout the negotiations. Now, when we reached to a very critical moment that he claims that according to his intelligence, which is something like very publicly known for everyone, that I was meeting with the leadership of Hamas. Hamas leadership are discussing, the negotiation team are discussing the proposal of President Trump during that time.
This was Monday, this week.
Actually, everything about the meeting is very well known for the Israelis and for the Americans. And this is nothing. It's not something that we are hiding, or as some marginal people are saying, harboring or whatever. We have to go back to the origins. Now, the attack that happened on Qatar territory, it's happened on our sovereignty. This is number one. Number two, Qatar is a mediator that's been mediating many conflicts. Qatar, when Hamas office was established, was done with coordination, request by the Americans, by the Israelis. They've been using it as a communication channel for them, for Gaza, for all those years. And I'm sorry here, any Israeli politician who today is trying to, to portray himself that he's away from this. This happened under Netanyahu's government, under Bennett government, under Lapid government, under Netanyahu's government again.
What he just said when Hamas officers, so when Hamas was set up, because I would tell people that Hamas was set up by the Israeli government, was set up by Netanyahu, was set up to go against the PLO. Hamas was, and the Qatari prime minister just said it. And people debate me about that all the time. No, they're not. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Israel, the Israeli government he said many governments, many prime ministers set up Hamas. Hamas is on the Israeli payroll. It's just like Al-Qaeda. Just like Al-Qaeda and ISIS and ISIL, as Obama would call it, with us. They're on the payroll. They were created by Israel. He just said it. He said the Hamas office. That's what he's talking about. It's a government office, basically. They set him up. And the ones that say they're not are lying is what he's saying. The one that say, oh, no. They all know. The American people are the only dumbasses. We're the only dumbasses that believe that Israel is our best fucking friend, and they're not. They're not our friend. They put listening devices in people's toilets. They put listening devices on Trump. And this is how they get these dumbasses. They take them to Israel, right? AIPAC, pay for, all expenses paid trip to Israel. And then they get these listening devices put in on their ass. And they say something or do something. And Israel got them. They got them. This is why they're all compromised. This is why we have to replace every motherfucker in Congress and the Senate. Every one of them. All 535. Even though Massey and MTG, right? And we've got a few that don't have an AIPAC handler. Maybe we keep them. Everybody else has to be replaced because all of them are compromised. Every last fucking one of them are compromised. And until we do that, we're going to continue to be fucked over in this country.
Any agency says that no, they are not involved. It's not true. Mossad, Shabak, and the Ministry of Defense were involved in that. So there is no justification that this is considered harboring terrorism or whatever. These reckless claims.
They're going to harbor terrorism, and they create them. These are their people. This is what they're saying. These are Israeli people. This is your people. We're not harboring. These are your fucking people. You created this shit. Nobody wants to say that. Charlie was saying it. Charlie was starting to say it. Tucker Carlson is starting to say it. Protect him. Candace Owens is starting to say it. Protect her. We have a lot of other shit. Protect me. Hell, I'm starting to say that. But I've been saying it, but I'm nobody though. I don't even have the followers. Maybe if I did, then I have to worry about it. But this is what he's saying. This is what the prime minister is saying.
Now, does that justify for Netanyahu to come and attack a sovereign nation that hosts a negotiation that discussing a paper that's submitted by the United States? It's not only an undermining for our sovereignty and infringing our sovereignty. It's undermining for the entire negotiation. It's undermining for the U.S. effort. This is the country that's host the CENTCOM. How come we never thought that even there is like a very minimum level of manners and ethics? This has crossed it. I mean,
And he's pissed. You can look at his face. He like, dude, we have some fucking etiquette in this country. We have some honor, right? I've been to Qatar many times. I spent a lot of time in Qatar on, part of, CENTCOM, because we flew a lot of missions out of there, right? These are honorable people. Very honorable people. And he's like, you guys have no fucking manners. That's basically what he said. You have no fucking manners. You have no manners. You don't know how to fucking conduct business. You're fucking liars. This is what he just said in so many words. Like I'm translating what he's saying diplomatically, right? Because he's on CNN. And thank you to CNN for fucking doing this interview and putting it out, because I don't see this on Fox. I don't see this on any other conservative, because all of them are ran by Israel, by the way, and probably CNN too. They're just so fucking dumb. But I'm glad they did this interview. Thank you to CNN for doing something worth fucking while, right? But this guy is angry. He's pissed off. So just listen, watch his face, his demeanor. He's very, politically correct in what he says, which is cool. I'm not the politically correct guy. But I have no words. I mean, I have no words for this, for the crap that you guys are doing. We're doing this for you, United States. We're just a facilitator. This is supposed to be for you, right? And we have a big ass base in Al-Udeid. We have the biggest base in the Middle East is in Al-Udeid, Qatar. I say Qatar, whatever the fuck you want to say, Qatar. And if they shut that down, then I'm sure we'll go to war. Israel will try to go to war with them. And then all hell is going to break loose, because these dudes have some money. They got jack. They will pay it out to money. They're going to bring in China. They're going to bring in Russia. That's what's going to happen. They're going to bring in China and Russia as security guarantors. We're fucked in the Middle East. Donald Trump is fucked. He can no longer be trusted. Basically, the lady's going to try to get out of it. But he said, I don't know what direction we're going to go in. I know what direction they're going to go in. They're going to bring in China and Russia as security guarantors. And then what's going to happen to the Middle East? Ezekiel 48 is playing out like a bitch, right? Isn't that it? I'm just fired up, just a little bit.
Honestly, I have no words to express how raged we are from such an action.
If you could describe it in one word, what would that be?
This is state terror.
If you are sleeping in a position like this, you are wrecking your body and your breathing. Chronic neck pain happens when your cervical spine...
That's what I call it.
Do you feel betrayed?
We are betrayed, yeah.
By the US?
No, I cannot say it's by the US. The US has expressed in many occasions their support to us. The US, the president, right after the attack, he spoke with His Highness the Emir, and he was very clear that this is unacceptable, and he's not agreeing.
But what he didn't do, here's what Trump didn't do, and he called right after the attack. Hey man, this is unacceptable. He didn't say shit to me. Have you heard? And that maybe it's behind closed doors, maybe, but he hasn't said shit. He came on and actually claimed that it was partly that he knew about it, and then I didn't know about it, and Trump at this point, he doesn't know which way. If you guys are paying attention, Trump is fucking wishy-washy. He's back and forth on a bunch of shit. He's back and forth on a bunch of shit. Right now, he said he caught the emir of Qatar. So, man, I didn't know nothing about it. I'm sorry. Hey, man, we still cool though, right? I'm gonna take. But he hasn't said anything to Netanyahu. Netanyahu's like, man, fuck you, yo. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, man. You my bitch. You're my bitch right now, bro. That's what Netanyahu is saying. This is exactly this action. Without telling Trump or without getting approval. He may have gotten approval from somebody in the Trump administration. Trump didn't know about it. Or he says he didn't know about it. Let's just put it like that. So what is that telling you? What does that say about Netanyahu They don't even call Trump and say, hey, man, we got a guy, blah, blah, this is what we're about to do. Is it cool, right? He doesn't care because he doesn't respect you. He doesn't respect you. It's obvious. Is it obvious? I mean, it's obvious to me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, right? Maybe he does respect him, but he doesn't give a shit. How about that? Is that more accurate, maybe?
With such a thing, and he was never informed about it. And the moment he was informed, he asked his official to inform us. Unfortunately, this information came too late, which is 10 minutes after the attack, as I stated yesterday. But when we were dealing with the Israelis as parties, we were thinking that we are dealing with like regular parties. But Netanyahu, he has no limits.
Let me drill down a little bit on exactly what has happened here then, because I asked about the timing of this attack because it came at a very crucial time. You personally met with the chief negotiator for Hamas on Monday evening. You pressed Khalil al-Hayya to get Hamas to respond positively to the latest US initiative for a ceasefire and hostage deal. And your team, as I understand it, then worked through the night on the phone with senior Israeli negotiators. And by Tuesday evening, you were expecting to get a response from Hamas. The Qatari negotiation team would have been together with the Hamas negotiation team, and you're expecting to get a response. Let me ask you, do you believe that response would have been an agreement had this attack not happened an hour and a half before that meeting was supposed to take place?
I cannot predict, but what I know that as the meeting that took place between me and the negotiation team from Hamas, I was very clear that there is no positive response on this. I think we are going to run out of chances. And they were promising that this is not their own decision. They have to consult. They have their own structure, and it will take them time. And I told them that you have until Friday. Friday was the time set for me to meet with, together, myself, the Egyptian chief of intelligence, with the participation of Turkish intelligence, with Steve Witkoff, in order to give him a positive response to find a way forward for this stalemate that we are in the negotiation. And by the way, at the same day, I was meeting one of the hostages' family that morning, the morning of the attack, carrying a message that the families, they are counting on this mediation. They have no other hope for that. And I think that what Netanyahu has done yesterday, he just killed any hope for those hostages.
Well, in the past hour, he has doubled down on his position. He has said, and I quote the Israeli Prime Minister here, "I say to Qatar and to all nations who harbor terrorists," his words, not mine, "you either expel them or bring them to justice, because if you don't, we will." Do you take that as a threat of further action here?
Well, we don't accept, first of all, such a threat coming from someone like Netanyahu, and he's calling about bring them to justice. He needs to be brought to justice. He's the one who's wanted to the ICC. That's number one. So I think that someone like him trying to lecture the world about the law, he's breaking every law. He broke every international law. He's starving people in Gaza. He's doing all these rogue actions in the entire region. What's next? What's next for him?
You've described him as a narcissist. What do you mean by that?
Well, I have no other explanation, because the act itself, I mean, the significance of this act, there is no human mind can just absorb. You know, we were thinking that we are dealing with civilized people. That's the way we are dealing with others. And the action that he took, it's very, like, I cannot describe it, but it's a barbaric action.
Prime Minister, did you ever believe that hosting
He said he thought they were dealing with civilized people. Civilized people. World leaders are supposed to act civilized. Benjamin Netanyahu is not a civilized individual, never has been. He's always been a terrorist. And the world is getting tight. He's wanted by the ICC, like I said, by the International Criminal Court. And every time he has to go to court, every time he's supposed to go to court, what does he do? He bombs someone else. They understand this man is not rational. He's an animal. He's not rational. He's wanted. And so these guys said, we don't even know what to do with him. We don't even know what to do with him.
Hamas here, at the request of the United States over the years, and mediating talks here.
If you're thinking about buying or selling a house anywhere in or around the Treasure Valley area, including the blue areas on this map,
at the request of the United States and others, was running a risk that Hamas would be targeted here, which would be an attack on Qatar soil?
Never, because have you ever heard about a neutral country that mediates conflicts being attacked because they are hosting the talks from one of the parties of the conflict? It's never happened. Do you expect such a thing happening from, if I just, a very simple example, Taliban office was here in Doha and the US were negotiating with them. Do we expect the US to attack Taliban office and this is justified because of something happened in Afghanistan? This is never this is setting a precedent. Today, we are not seeing that what happened to Qatar is just happening to it's not about our sovereignty. It's about the international law. It's been put in question. Now we are at a detrimental moment. The international community, do they want a rule-based order? Or they want just a chaotic world? What we are seeing in our region right now, that's what this Prime Minister is leading us to, a chaotic world. And there is nothing stopping him.
We know that 5 members, at least, of the Hamas delegation were killed in that residence, and a Qatari security official who was detailed to that residence was also killed. And as I understand it, there are others who are injured quite seriously, including other Qataris. The chief Hamas negotiator, Khalil al-Khaya, though, who was the target, or at least one of the targets of this attack, a man, again, that you met last Monday, is, as we understand it, still alive. Is that the case? And if so, what is his condition, sir?
Well, first of all, the first identified body who was killed in that attack was a Qatari officer, 22 years old, who was on duty to protect the facility as any other facilities that we have in Doha. That's number one. Number two, the identified bodies also of the other Palestinian killed, they are staffers who are working with them in Clark's work.
These are not high-level members of the Hamas delegation. Were they not there at the time?
So, I mean, until now, we are trying to identify if there is any other one missing. There are people who are injured. There are some of them, there are Qataris who are in a very dangerous situation. There is another Qatari officer. He's in a very critical position. We pray for him. But I don't know. I mean, going back that he is targeting, and this is justifying for him to target, if he has something with Hamas or Hamas leaders, justifying that targeting them in another sovereign nation, just compare it to any other act. How do you see the world react for other countries, other states who are conducting an operation on other nations' sovereignty to target someone that they wanted?
He has said you either expel them, Hamas, or bring them to justice, because if you don't, we will. We've talked about whether you see that as a threat. Where are the Hamas members right now, and will you shut down their offices? It's a question that has to be asked. And because I want to ask you about the future of these talks at this point.
This is actually right now we are reassessing everything about the whole process. We are in a very in a very detailed conversation with the United States government, and we need to understand what will be the way forward, because such a thing is unacceptable. And as I told you, it wasn't for us. It is attack on our sovereignty. It's attack on our nation, but it's an attack on the entire region. Today, the entire GCC region is at risk. GCC is one of the most important allies of the United States in the Middle East. The leaders around the world, everyone is calling us shocked with such an act. If Netanyahu believes that he will never be held accountable, and he continues such a statement by just throwing these statements and threatening countries, I don't know how the world want to deal with it. Our sovereignty, we will protect it, we will defend it to the end.
So the future of these talks at this point, not clear.
I mean, I don't have an answer for this, because really I don't see, I see a meaningless talk. Right now what we are doing, and I think that I've been rethinking even about the entire process for the last few weeks, that Netanyahu was just wasting our time. He wasn't serious about anything.
What about Khalil al-Khaya and the Hamas delegation there? Were they also wasting your time?
Well, actually, look, to be very open, the position that we brought them from to the position that we got on August 18th in Egypt, in Cairo, was far from their initial position. That's number one. Number two, we have to go back to the last ceasefire. The last ceasefire that was brokered by Qatar, US, and Egypt, and guaranteed by those three mediators, supposed to hold the talks on day 16. Israel never showed up for these talks.
This is how you know. Hear that? So, 3 nations promised, brokered these talks. They were supposed to on the 16th day. Israel never showed up. Israel does not want peace. Netanyahu does not want peace. And everyone sees this. He does not want peace. It's unbelievable. Really not. I mean, it's really not unbelievable, but that's just what it is, right? I mean, and it's just, it's just crazy. But anyway, hey, so Caddis Sports Cooler here. So, all right, outdoor crew, if you're into fishing, camping, or getting off the grid, meet your new best friend, the Hunter Orange 25-quart cooler from Caddis Sports. This isn't your average cooler. It is roto-modeled for max durability, bear-proof, and 20% lighter than other brands, so it's easy to haul wherever and whether you're deep in the woods, backcountry, or just setting up on the dock. You'll get up to 3 days of ice retention thanks to thick, high-performance insulation. That means cold drinks, fresh food, and fewer ice runs. Whether you're chasing muttons offshore or posted up at a campsite, best part is 40 to 50% cheaper than the big-name coolers, but still built to perform season after season. And like all Caddis Sports brand name brand gear, it's proudly made in the USA. Use code RUMBLE at checkout for 10% off your order today. That's Caddis, CADDIS, sports.com. Go to the Hunter Orange 25Q cooler and keep your next adventure ice cold. And I'm going to throw the QR code up for that. So there you go. Go to CaddisSports.com, explore our cooler lineup, and get 10% off. So go check it out. You guys go check out the Caddis cooler over there. That's caddissports.com. So if you want your cooler, 25% off, but 10% off. Use code Rumble, 10% off, 40 to 50% cheaper. Go check it out. Okay, so Israel doesn't want these. Israel doesn't want peace. Is anyone that's watching this show right now, right? Anyone believe that Israel wants peace? Anyone? Does anyone believe that they want peace?
They broke the ceasefire, and when they became interested in the talks, they came here, and they started to put proposals, which was very obvious that Hamas will refuse. So, I will not be in between, the game of tactics of the Israelis or Hamas.
Basically, he said, I'm not up for the bullshit. I'm not going to be between the bullshit. He said Hamas gave some acceptable terms. Israel didn't show up, and then they come back with some bullshit that they knew Hamas wouldn't accept. Right? And he says he's tired of they're tired of the bullshit.
I'm at the end of the day, I'm a mediator, I'm a facilitator, I'm trying to facilitate those, so I'm trying to bridge those gaps. And what we see, the progress in the position in August, I think that was significant progress. Unfortunately, Netanyahu declined again, and he never responded to that. And they came up with this new proposal, which also was far away from what was proposed in August, what was accepted in August. And they were asking us to pressure Hamas, and we were pressuring them. And we were progressing toward that direction.
Don't get a HELOC or refinance if you want to tap into your home's equity. You can get up to $500,000 without monthly.
I have to ask you again, Khalil Al-Khaya, where is he and how is he?
So do you see this bitch, right? Didn't I tell you? She's working for fucking Israel. She's working for Israel. Did you hear? I have to ask you again, because if I don't, I might get fucking suicided, right? I have to ask you again, where is the guy? Is it clear that she's working for Israel? Is that clear? Is it? I have to ask you again for Khalil Haifa, whatever his name is. Where is he? Is he dead? She's shilling. She's shilling. She's shilling. Dude did already basically I'm not telling you, dumbass. I'm not telling you where he is. Like, why you keep asking me this shit, right? I have to ask you again. Why? Why do you have to keep asking me that? Who are you asking for? That's what I'm saying. Why do you keep asking me that? Who are you asking for?
Until now, there is no official declaration. Or do you expect from me to declare today?
Can I ask you, are you
basically like, you dumb bitch? You dumb bitch. It ain't been you really expect me to tell you where he is today, right now in this interview? My gosh, man.
satisfied with Donald Trump's response? I mean, defense and diplomatic coordination have anchored these close US Qatari ties. You host thousands of US troops here. Washington has designated Qatar a major non-NATO ally. Are you satisfied with Washington's response?
I think this is what we heard from the president was a very strong message, reiterating his commitment to the partnership of Qatar, expressing that this is unacceptable to be attacked, and we highly appreciate that. And I think the actions should follow. And right now, I'm following up with all the US officials in order to see what kind of actions can be taken.
As we speak, do you believe the US is any longer a reliable security guarantor for Qatar and indeed for the wider region? And you retain your right to respond. And I wonder what that response might look like and what it might look like from the wider region. For example, do you think the time has come for your Gulf neighbors to suspend the Abraham Accords? I mean, what is this response going to look like?
Well, there are. I think we have to distinguish between two things. There is a response that will be from Qatar, and Qatar, the first resort for a civilized nation, as any other civilized nation, is international law. And that's what we are going to resort to. And there is a response that will happen from the region. And this response is currently is under consultation and discussion between the other partners in the region. We are working on Arab Islamic Summit that takes place in Doha in the next few days. And we will decide there what kind of actions we will be taking.
Is it, though, time to suspend these Abraham Accords and not to look at an ambition, which is normalization with Israel going forward? Should there even be a two-state solution?
I will not comment on behalf of other countries. The president of UAE, Sheikh Mohammed, Zionist Sheikh Mohammed, was here this morning, and he expressed his unlimited support for Qatar, and he put everything in our disposal. And we are not going to ask anyone to take a decision on behalf of them. They are a sovereign nation, and they decide what to do and what not. There is a collective response that should happen from the region, and this collective response, we are hoping for something meaningful that deter Israel from continuing this bullying.
Last question to you. There is a growing narrative in the region that Benjamin Netanyahu is the biggest threat to this region. Do you share that?
Right now, name for me, it's not in the region, name for me any other country in the world that bomb 7 different nations at the same time, bomb ships in the middle of the Mediterranean.
You're talking about the Gaza flotilla, of course. Israel hasn't taken responsibility
without being held accountable. What I mentioned yesterday, what Netanyahu is doing, he is leading this country as a rogue state, and this cannot be acceptable for us in the region. If we are talking about a Middle East, that peaceful Middle East, he's claiming that always that he's the one who is threatened. He's the one who is threatening every other nation. None of our nations has represented a threat for him, nor for his people. So why he claims that he's the man of peace while he's doing the opposite? Does the world believe that? I think we are in a very detrimental moment in this region. This gentleman is claiming that he has a message from God, from somewhere, that he will create a greater Israel, and there is a new Middle East that he is shaping. And this GCC became part of his manipulation today. This is a very dangerous precedent. I don't think it's acceptable for anyone. It's not acceptable for us, nor acceptable for any of other GCC nations, and shouldn't be acceptable for the world.
With that, I'm going to leave it there. We thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky.
So there you go. They're not taking this shit anymore. The response probably won't be military, but the response is going to be they're cutting off shit. They're going to cut off the U.S. Because without the U.S., Israel doesn't survive. Yeah, they have nukes and they have the Samson option, of course. But without the U.S. backing them on their bullshit, without us really giving them, they ran out of missiles. That's why Iranian missiles hit Israel really, really hard, because they overwhelmed the Iron Dome. They pissed off the region. They pissed off. Hunter was the mediator. He's like, dude, we're just facilitating the talks. Why are you fucking with us, man? You know the people are here to talk peace. Why are you bombing them? Right? I mean, does that make sense? For all of you people that support Israel and support that, does that make sense? You guys say you want peace. And like this guy say, he's got some word from God, that's the thing. He say, oh, we're God's chosen people. We can do whatever the fuck. But obviously you're not. God's chosen people are peaceful. Obviously you're not. And the world knows you're not. It's just people that have been brainwashed, that have been, manipulated their entire life, believe that Netanyahu, who's from Europe, he obviously can't be from the Khazarians. Obviously, he can't be what they think they are. And this is why they have to war. This is why to keep the lie, because the people are done believing that. So this is why you see all the manipulation. This is why you see the assassination of people like Charlie Kirk, because people are waking up to the fact that they've been lied to their entire life. They've been understand that these Khazarian Jews are not God's chosen people. And they continue to betray people's trusts. People's trust. Like I'm saying, a lot of people are starting to see that. A lot of people are starting to see that. And people wanted me to show this now, and I'll show this, put that up on my face. All of them are compromised. They thought Boebert was cool, right? The House just passed. Let's see if I get this. Okay, the House just passed a bill punishing this when someone's talking about politically motivated boycotts of Israel because they know it's coming. They know it's coming. Countries and businesses are going to start boycotting. So what do we do? What do we do as a country? This is the United States of America. We're supposed to be America first. They passed it. Why are we passing bills protecting another country who obviously ain't fucking with people? They keep messing with people. We talk about peace, right? We talk about peace, right? America wants peace. This is America's peace, right? Violence has no place in American politics. Also Americans signing names on bombs. These are bombs for Iran and bombs that go to Gaza. These are American politicians. Nikki Haley. I think that's Josh Shapiro. These are American politicians. Right? And I know we're supposed to be talking, but I think this is more important because this state-sponsored terrorism, this is what they do. When they want to see, and that's the definition of terrorism, to promote fear in a country, state-sponsored terrorism. So what they do, they assassinated, because he wasn't going along with the plan anymore, they assassinated this man in front of his children, his wife and children, and on basically national TV. Out in the public. JFK, out in the public. RFK Jr. or JFK, whatever. RFK Jr. Or RFK, not Jr., but RFK. In public. Malcolm X, in public. Martin Luther King, in public. Abraham Lincoln, in public. Those people that can move the masses of people. Charlie Kirk was moving the masses of people away from, because he started talking about it. So, people are going to listen, and they're not buying the Israel thing. And Ben Shapiro, you're not going to be able to go on college campuses with your bullshit. No one's listening to the Zionism bullshit, especially after this. Especially the day after you come and take over basically TPUSA. Okay, well, I'm going to be doing it now. A Zionist who doesn't even believe in Christ. I'm going to play this. This is actually Amin's son, General Amin Dada. Remember that? People know. People understand what's going on, right? So I'm going to play this, and I mean, because the world understands that Israel is controlling the United States.
America. We have to liberate America. This is a big issue for the American people, by the way. So listen carefully. As you know, over decades, US congressmen have been entrapped one after the other by Israel to engage in sexual depravity with children, as Israel was secretly recording them on camera. And those videos are being used by Israel to blackmail these politicians to do anything Israel demands, or else the videos will be leaked to the public. I believe the same blackmail operation has caught many leaders in the UK and the EU as well. And that's why they all act odd and look soulless when they have to defend Israel's crimes, because they are under duress and can't reveal their plight to anyone. By orchestrating this blackmail operation, Israel conducted what is essentially a coup d'etat against the democracy that US politicians represent. Israeli operatives have thus usurped the American people's sovereignty over their own country by blackmailing these representatives to serve not the interests of the American people, but the interests of a genocidal foreign country first. The politicians are then given their marching orders and talking points by Israeli agents under the Israeli organization called AIPAC. Every congressman or woman has a person they call an AIPAC babysitter who tells that politician whatever Israel wants them to do on any given subject. You could just as well call the babysitter a personal prison guard or a minder, just like in North Korea. One of the most important actions these politicians must take is to always approve US foreign aid to Israel every year without fail. But after the money reaches Israel, part of it is then sent back to America from Israel to be used by AIPAC to buy more US politicians and also fund the election campaigns of the other politicians who are already under Israeli blackmail, so that they continue serving Israel in Congress to vote for more foreign aid to Israel, which the politicians will again receive more kickbacks from. Basically, these politicians are being coerced to engage in a cycle of corruption and money laundering, where they approve funds to Israel while receiving kickbacks from Israel from the same funds that they approve for Israel. These are federal crimes under US law. Now, besides approving money for Israel, they must also defend any action that Israel takes in the Middle East, be it genocide, air attacks on neighboring countries, or forced starvation on Palestinian children. This has been revealed by UK politician Jeremy Corbyn, who refused outright to be part of this. Blackmail should have never been allowed to happen anywhere. And all US congressmen who are compromised by this Israeli blackmail coup should actually report themselves to authorities, or else the people and the victims of their sexual depravity should make these politicians face the real risk of being deemed as willing treason collaborators against the people, right? Against the American people's sovereignty, against democracy, and against America itself, for not reporting blackmail, which is also a serious federal crime under US law. Right now, Israel is doing everything so that the Epstein files do not come out. They are most probably the ones using a blackmailed Donald Trump to try and bury the files and videos so that they keep the power of blackmail that they have over America's politicians. Power that they have stolen from the American people who elected these politicians. The American people should not let this brazen coup d'etat against their country continue. This foreign regime in power in America, behind the curtains, is the one engineering the loss of freedoms of the American people, particularly when it comes to criticism of Israel. People are being cancelled, losing their businesses, and others their jobs, their families and marriages breaking, their homes breaking, for simply exercising their First Amendment right to speak their conscience. This regime is leading the US down a slope that culminates in not only the end of America as a free country for all its citizens. If nothing is done, It ends with deranged, genocidal Israeli lunatics ruling the world. For me, I'm just like a simple messenger on video main here. My role is to hereby alert the world, anyone who cares to listen, and warn you about this grave danger. Save this video before it gets removed and share it with the American and European people who might not be aware of the full scale and magnitude of this coup against their democracy. Thank you.
The world knows. The world knows. And what he described was money laundering, federal crime. So that we send the billions, what is it, 3.678, whatever billion a year that's allotted every single year to Israel. They get that money. They ship some of it back to AIPAC to buy off the politicians and to pay for campaigns for those that support Israel. It's money laundering. That's illegal. But we all knew, well, some of us know this, and some of us don't want to wake up to the fact. Some of us don't want to wake up to the fact. Let's play another clip.
Matter is that every congressman that signs the AIPAC pledge to place Israel first is a traitor. They are in violation of their oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, domestic and foreign. The problem is,
you notice how all of them have to go and touch the wall? Marco Rubio is over in Israel right now. He was on the wall. He's on the wall, compromised. He's on the wall. He's given his went over and gave his pledge to Israel because all of them have to go and touch the wall. Marco Rubio was in Israel today, there. The entire Trump administration is compromised by Israel, all of them, every last one of them. And it's a shame. And it's a shame.
matter is that every congressman that signs the AIPAC pledge to place Israel first is a traitor. They are in violation of their oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, domestic and foreign. The problem is the manner in which the Zionist state uses bribery, blackmail, and media manipulation to lie, cheat, and steal across every policy issue. We are giving the Zionists today $30,000 for every man, woman, and child in Israel, which they then turn around and use to genocide the Palestinians. Anti-Zionism is every American's duty. The second point that I would make is that the Zionists themselves are anti-Semitic. The Zionist state of Israel and the Zionists in Switzerland who refused to ransom the Jews from Germany when the price was $3 million for the safe, secure exit of all Jews in Germany. What we Americans need to understand is that the Zionist Israel leadership thinks that all of us are shiksas.
Terrorism is something that the United States used against the British in the American Revolution. It's something that the Israelis used against the Arabs in World War II. It is a tactic. It is not a threat. And in fact, we find that with NATO, we have fake terrorists, Operation Gladio. It's now known that the red flag threat in Italy was not a real terrorist threat. It was neo-Nazi actors who were creating terrorism in order to push Italy toward a fascist government. The same is true in the United States. There's an excellent book called The Terror Factory, which talks about how 175 terrorism convictions in the United States all started with the FBI paying money to an informant to begin the terrorist operation. One of the main reasons we're in the Middle East today is because Goldman Sachs made bad futures bets. They made bets that oil would go over $200 a barrel. And when those bets don't materialize, the fastest way for Goldman Sachs to make tens of billions of dollars and not lose money is to start a war in the Middle East so that the oil price goes up. Everything is manipulated. The foreign exchange rate is manipulated. Interest rates are manipulated. Wars are manipulated in order to impact on stock prices in this casino roulette game that we have out there.
Are you listening? Like listening to the game, the Qatar Prime Minister said, "This is theater. This is their theater." They want to say, you know, right, left. The left and the right is compromised. The left and the right is compromised by Israel. And the more and more people say it,
Bluetooth disconnected. Bluetooth connected.
the more and more people say it, people are starting to wake up. People are starting to wake up.
Israel is doing everything it can to destroy the Middle East, including Syria. It has stolen the Golan Heights from Syria, which have oil under them, and it has stolen water from Jordan for the last 30 or 40 years. Everything we're being told today is a lie. Banks lie, governments lie, corporations lie, religions lie. Let me also point out that Zionism has been destroying the United States of America. Zionism is the enemy. The deep state is the enemy. Banks are the enemy. There is legislation before Congress that makes it a felony, a major crime, to criticize Israel and call for a boycott of Israel. Every member of Congress who has co-sponsored that legislation is likely to lose the next election. People will no longer tolerate putting Israel first. The second major example, we have 23 states in the United States that will not give citizens disaster relief or a contract with the state unless they sign a loyalty pledge to Israel, which is to say they sign a pledge that says they have never boycotted Israel, they will never boycott Israel in the future. This is Israel first, not America first, across 23 states.
I just showed to you what Congress did, right? I just showed to you what Congress did. I think it's no longer a secret. It's no longer a secret. When you have Anna Kasparian, it was, I think Anna's trying to come over. She's giving up on both parties. But when you have a liberal like Anna Kasparian, I'm going to end with probably the Steve Bannon video tonight. I don't play Anna Kasparian first. I actually had downloaded the tried to download the Charlie Kirk and Megan's interview, Megyn Kelly's interview on the Megyn Kelly show when Charlie was talking about the text messages and how they're being attacked, Megyn Kelly's being attacked. I mean, and you see Loomer, I mean, I believe Laura Loomer is a Mossad agent or something. She's attacking all these people, you know, Ben Shapiro is attacking all these people. So all these Zionists are attacking these people, really America First people that are waking up. You know, you see what they did to Kanye West. Let's go back to Kanye West for a minute. Kanye West was the first person to really start talking about it, other than the ones that's dead already, but the ones that start talking about how the Jews run everything. It was Kanye West. They made him out to be crazy, and they tried to kill Kanye West. He was the first one. Everybody, oh man, Kanye's crazy. But you go back and listen to some of the stuff Kanye said. Kanye was the first one to start blowing the whistle, to start really waking people up to what was going on. Now, more are waking up.
Hear me when I say this, okay? All the Western countries, United States, Europe, especially Europe, okay? I don't want to hear any whining about the Islamification of your country because of mass migration. As you aid and abet, or at best case scenario, just remain silent at what's happening in the Middle East because Israel wants to build their empire. Okay, the mass displacement that we've seen in the Middle East is the result of us going into countries, bombing countries, overthrowing, governments that Israel doesn't like. All of that stuff has led to mass migration of Muslims. You think they want to go to your stanky ass country? No, I think they would rather be in their homeland, but they can't live in their homeland because it's been bombed to smithereens. That's the reality of the situation. So if you don't want the Islamification of your country, how about you stop aiding and abetting Israel in their disgusting land grabs and empire building? How about that?
But she was a Israel supporter too. She's a liberal. She was there's a lot of people waking up. But I'm going to play this last one because, you know, the great Steve Bannon, me and Steve Bannon are friends. We were just texting the other day about some things. And I think I told you guys the story about when I was running for Congress in 2022, when Steve Bannon kicked me and my campaign manager, God rest her soul, Kim, out of his house because Paul Gosar had endorsed my campaign. Paul Gosar spoke at an event, at an AmFest event put on by Nick Fuentes. And Nick Fuentes has always been out there saying what he doesn't, his feelings about Jews, right? Nick Fuentes says some pretty radical stuff, but he's been out there on the forefront, and they started challenging Charlie Kirk about the Jews, right? So Paul Gosar, he was one of the first congressmen. He endorsed my campaign in 2020. And he was one of the first to come on board in 2022 as well. And he spoke at Nick Fuentes' event. And we were in Steve Bannon's house talking to Steve. And Steve said, well, what endorsements do you have? So I started rattling off my endorsements. And I mentioned Paul Gosar. He said, Paul Gosar. He said, you have to disavow that. He said, will you disavow Paul Gosar's endorsement? He spoke at, against Israel. He spoke, he's an anti-Semite, against Israel or whatever, saying, he said, will you disavow him? I said, well, no. I'm like, Paul's my friend. He was one of the first ones to endorse my campaign. No, I'm not going to disavow his endorsement. He said, okay, I had enough. Get out. True fucking story, man. How many people can say that they got kicked out of Steve Bannon's house? Right? But yeah, so Steve Bannon was a staunch supporter of Israel. Staunch supporter of Israel. Kicked me out of his house because I wouldn't disavow Paul Gosar. Here's what Bannon has to say now.
The situation where President Trump's trying to start, here is, and this goes back to what I said, Hamas is a franchise of the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, Netanyahu, this crew, had Qatar and the Muslim Brotherhood financing what was going on in Gaza, and they had all kinds of strategic reasons to want to do it. There's a scandal in Israel about people around Netanyahu taking money from Qatar, and Qatar spread money everywhere. There's an article I'll put up this afternoon. They spread money everywhere. But they're the financier of the Muslim Brotherhood. Okay? Even the IDF guy, the IDF, I put it up, he gave an amazing interview to the Times of Israel over the weekend. Excuse me, the former head of Mossad, who's not a Netanyahu fan. In fact, he says he may run against Netanyahu for the presidency, that Israel needs a new government. And he said, hey, the Mossad, we didn't take any money, but there was a lot of money taken. This puts a lie to, as we've said on this show from the beginning. It makes no sense what happened on 7 October. There has been no inquiry into it. The reason is this entire war is to keep Netanyahu in power. And what did we tell you? When they kept saying, oh, Hamas and Iran's in back of everything, back of Hamas, they're in doing a decapitation strike in Doha against Muslim Brotherhood. Because guess what? The Muslim Brotherhood and the Hamas guys, which are one and the same, live in Doha, and they're financed out of Qatar, not Tehran. Not Tehran. And so this morning they had the strike. And I will say this again and again and again. The threat to Israel and the threat to the Jewish people, the principal existential threat, is not in Tehran. It is in London, the streets of London, and the power corridors in London, and shortly in New York City. Right now it's on the streets with the Working Families Party and the DSA and Ma'am Donnie. Because guess where his mother, and we have no idea where all this money comes from. A guy named Sam Antor has some great charts. But the money comes from Qatar. His mother is financed. They're fat cats. He's no kid from the streets. They're financed by, wait for it, Qatar. Let me see. I think I see some pattern recognition here. Oh, yeah, that's right. The Muslim Brotherhood. I don't know why they were in Gaza all those years. You make a pact, you make a Faustian pact with the devil going to come back and, read Faust. He's come back, he's going to get his souls. He's going to get his pound of flesh. Always and everywhere. You're in bed with the devil's going to get it.
That was the great Steve Bannon. So I'm going to end the show how I opened it because we see what's going on. We see you. I see you. Others see you. We need to take this country back. Thanks for joining me again tonight on the Radical Republicans live show. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our prayers go out to Charlie Kirk's family and his kids. And everyone that loved Charlie Kirk, we loved him here at the Radical Republicans live show. Keep speaking truth. Don't be afraid to go out there and speak the truth, because the truth is going to set you free. Because this is what they want. They want us to be fearful. They want us to be scared to speak truth and say what we feel. So don't shut down. Keep calling out the madness. Keep calling out the bullshit. Like I've said before, it's going to get worse before it gets better, but just keep fighting. See you soon.
See your face, oh my friend, but I don't know it. I said so much to do, so I don't know to eyes. See, why all that game? No way you've been. It's all been about nice. I feel calling in. Oh, I will go somewhere else. I feel calling. I will.